Coming up on Network Africa, UNICEF warns of new famine in South Sudan. And scores convicted in DR Congo's Beni massacre trial. Plus, South African government sets parameters for its judicial inquiry into corruption allegations. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Bisi Adebayo. The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, says 250,000 South Sudanese children are at risk of dying if urgent food aid is not delivered to them. Tens of thousands of people have been killed since fighting broke out in South Sudan in 2013, and a peace deal signed 2 years later has been violated repeatedly. South Sudan is one of the world's most expensive aid operations, with more aid workers being killed in the country than anywhere else in the world. 1 in 3 South Sudanese people are displaced, with many farms lying empty.
For children, it's been a horrendous time. The violence, losing family members, it's led to being separated from other family members, long journeys across the country where they've just lived on grass or water lilies. So it's a time when we can really help the children of South Sudan, and the world needs to pay attention to that.
The Libyan security force has arrested kidnappers suspected of torturing a group of Sudanese migrants near the city of Sirte. The gang had been trying to secure ransom payments from the families of their captives. Videos circulated on social media showed the migrants being whipped as they lay on the floor. The Sudanese government has demanded that the Libyan authorities take action. The security team that made the arrest said all the captives have been rescued. And a military tribunal investigating a wave of massacres in eastern DR Congo has convicted 134 people. More than 800 people were killed, often hacked to death with machetes during the night around the town of Beni, near the DRC's border with Uganda between 2014 and 2016. Congolese authorities say the Allied Democratic Forces, a Ugandan Islamic group active in the area, were behind the killings, but Congolese army officers have also been accused of involvement. Rebel and militia attacks are on the rise again in central and eastern DR Congo, and the latest violence coincides with the political crisis brought on by President Joseph Kabila's decision to overstay his mandate, which expired in December 2016. Pope Francis is calling for an end to violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Addressing his congregation in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City, he appealed to everyone to make efforts to avoid any form of violence, saying the church wants nothing other than to contribute to the peace and common good of the society. On Sunday, government security forces fired on demonstrators who were protesting against President Joseph Kabila, killing 6 people. President Kabila has been in power since 2001 and was supposed to step down after his second and final term came to an end in 2016, but he remains in power, delaying elections to replace him till December 2018. The country's Catholic Church has been a powerful voice of opposition to Mr. Kabila. And to South Africa now, where the government has set parameters for its judicial inquiry into allegations of influence peddling, corruption and fraud in President Jacob Zuma's government. There were reports that the country's judiciary was unable to commence investigations because President Jacob Zuma did not provide terms of preference. The inquiry, among other things, will investigate the veracity of allegations of a trio of wealthy businessmen, including the Guptas, and the offering of a cabinet position to former Deputy Finance Minister Msebisi Jonas. The graft inquiry was established by Zuma, and Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo was chosen on January the 9th to lead the commission. Liberia's new president, George Weah, appears to have hit the ground running as he's already making changes to how government is run. President Weah has ordered all autonomous agencies and public corporations of the government to keep their operational expenses below $3,000. He warns that anyone who wishes to exceed the budget must seek approval from the office of the president. He also urged relevant individuals in the agencies and corporations to sign off all illegitimate salaries and other benefits. George Weah took office on Monday on oath to crack down on corruption. And Egypt's last main opposition candidate in the March presidential election says he's halting his campaign and withdrawing from the race. Khalid Ali, who is a leading human rights lawyer, says conditions did not allow for a fair contest and that his supporters were being intimidated. His announcement comes a day after Egyptian authorities detained former Army Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Sami Anan, the only other serious potential challenger to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Candidates challenging Mr. al-Sisi have described sweeping efforts to kill off their campaigns before they begin, with media attacks, intimidation of supporters, and the nomination process stacked in favor of the president.
All these indicators were pointing towards planned intentions to poison and corrupt the entire operation and to evacuate it from its presumed democratic meaning, and to push us into spaces which we are not able to handle. We are honored to not have been able to handle these spaces. We will not present our nomination documents in conditions that, from our point of view, have exhausted their purpose before they have started.